You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, then. I'll bite your legs off!
I can take it. Great power comes great responsibility. We have a fault.
Get to the chopper!
Andy!
To the flesh wound.
I am the father.
And welcome back to another Monster Movie Stompdown. This is episode 10 for us. And of course, last month we did Geeter the Three-Headed Monster, so this is our in-between Godzilla break for another movie. And last time I let the co-host choose, and I've got them with me tonight.
Hey, it's Mark. How's it going?
And of course, from Texas we got...
Ruben.
And we have a very special guest tonight, Miss Jada Reagan, my daughter, Mark's granddaughter.
Hi.
So she is 12, about to be 13, and like we talked last month, we're doing Alien this month, and Jada's a fan, and actually watched it last week, and you almost tortured your sister with it, right?
Almost.
How did that go? Did you try watching it in the living room with her?
Yeah. She got scared so much. She ran straight to the bedroom, hide under the covers. I'm like, Allie, it's just a movie. They're people in costumes. And she's like, I don't care. It's still scary.
But explain to everybody who's listening, how old is your sister?
She's 6 right now.
Okay,
Turning 7 years old.
That might have something to do with it, just a little bit. You know, for you at a young age, I introduced you to actors like Kevin Peter Hall, who, for those listening, if they don't know who Kevin Peter Hall is, everybody say hi to Bentley as he walks in here. Our little pug,
Licking my
his little
ankle.
pitter-patter. Kevin Peter Hall, he's the actor who played the Predator in Predator 2. He played Harry in Harry and the Hendersons. So he was a big suit actor, and Jada fell in love with these movies. And I can't pronounce the name of the guy who actually played the alien in this one. He was an African-American guy, super tall. But so she knew real young that it was not real, you know, that it was people in makeup and effects. And Pumpkinhead was another one that we'd watched, and she became a fan of the Stan Winston Studios. Even to today, she's real creative and loves special effects and things like that. So for her, I understand. For her 6-year-old sister, scarred for life. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so this month it's Alien, and I'm stoked about this. And I wanted to ask before we get started. You know, we talked about doing Alien. Are we just going to do Alien, or is the next in between? Are we doing Aliens? You guys want to do the series?
Probably would do the series.
I'm
'Cause
game,
I would
I'm
love
game
to
for
keep
that.
discussing it.
I'm definitely game for that.
Yeah.
Jada would return. You'd return.
Yeah, I
For
would
those.
return.
Ruben, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. The only one I haven't that I don't own is I guess the last one.
Resurrection.
Requiem.
Oh,
No, I have
it's one of the best
Alien,
ones.
Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection.
Oh, okay. So
That's all of those. Yeah, the last one was what, Requiem or?
the Alien versus Predator. We'll include that. You want to include those AVPs? It's part of the Aliens.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
All right, so we'll hit the first 4 originals and then both AVPs, and then are we going to do Alien Covenant?
That would.
There it is,
Yeah, that
Covenant.
one would be.
Covenant. Okay.
That would
Well,
probably
it's
be
on the
best
Plex,
one,
Ruben.
yeah.
If you need to watch it, it's on there.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Have a
that,
suggestion
I
too. We
didn't,
could probably also do Prometheus.
Well, yeah, we'd have to if we're going to Covenant. You're right.
Yeah.
So we'll run through the line, which would be great because all great monster films. Of course, this one is the best of the best when it comes to these movies. So, even though I'm a huge, huge fan of Predator 2, because I know we won't go into the Predators. We'll just do the Alien vs Predators. But Predator 2, man, that
I knew that was going to come up
Man.
tonight. I knew it would come up.
it's dear to my heart, man. Love that movie. I have a lot of good tips and not secret info, but just really neat info about that film. So, but we're talking about the first Alien.
Yes, that's where we're at.
All right, so
Sounds like you want to skip right to it.
no, man, I'm like, let's just go to Predator 2 because that movie, dude. Man, I was young when I watched Predator 2. I was young when I watched this one.
Alien.
That's right. That's right. So, okay, so before we get started, and we're going to break into this movie, I do have a funny story for Alien. I was roughly, 8 or 10 when we saw this.
As a parent, I'm pleading the fifth.
Okay.
but I think around 8 or 9.
Okay. So Mark shows me this film, and he didn't, quotations there, show me a lot of horror films as a child. But so he shows me this movie, fell in love with it, completely fell in love with this film. And I went and bought a VHS copy, the original Fox VHS. It was a little tiny store next to my grandmother's house there in Indiana by Parker, some little shop.
Yeah.
By Parker Elementary. Not that anybody who's listening knows what we're talking about, but
Parker. I remember.
Yeah. So I bought it and came back to Tennessee. I took it to a friend's house that I was going to school with, and I'll leave that friend's name unnamed for the sake of this story. But I was going to a Christian school at the time and stayed the night with this friend, and he had never seen a movie even remotely close to something like Alien. Like, I think the most scary movie he had seen may have been like an Abbott and Costello film or something. Like, his parents did not let him watch this type of stuff. I sneak it over because I'm the good friend. And so we watch it. Terrifies him to the point that he ends up having to sleep in his mom and dad's room, like in bed with them that night.
What a great friend that is.
Yeah, so I see why Jada did it to Eileen, because like father, like daughter. But so anyways, Alien, great movie. This movie came out in 1979. This was directed by Ridley Scott. It was actually written by Dan O'Bannon, who was the great creator of the horror sci-fi comedy Dark Star. If anybody's seen that, do y'all remember that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, you haven't seen it. Oh, it's so good. It's real tongue-in-cheek dark comedy. It's great. So Dan O'Bannon wrote it. And then Ridley Scott, of course, directed the film. The design work in this movie was done by the great late H.R. Geiger, who came up with pretty much the look of the xenomorph, the look of a lot of the sets, the look of the space jockeys. A lot of the visuals came from H.R. Geiger, and he just did a phenomenal job with that. And, of course, the cast is absolutely stellar. We've got Tom Skerritt in here. We've got Ian Holm. We've got Sigourney Weaver. What is Ash's name? I can't think of the actor's name. Dang it. Oh, gosh. Of course, there's Veronica Cartwright. Harry Dean Stanton's in here. John Hurt. Hurt.
Yes.
Is also
John
in here.
Hurt, yeah.
Ian Holm was...
Ian Holm was
Ash. And then John Hurt was... God, the dude we went to... Why can't I get the names right now?
He died the worst.
Yeah.
Kane.
Kane. That's right.
Yeah.
Kane.
Yeah.
So, a lot of great... everybody in this cast is phenomenal. And of course, the music score was great, and that's by the great Jerry Goldsmith. The dude's done everything. So this movie came out in May 25th of 1979. This movie actually had a pretty small budget because movies like this did not exist yet, at least on a big screen or a big blockbuster. You had Alien. Was about the only competition type of movie for this, and that's totally polar opposite of E.T. I'm sorry, was totally polar opposite of Alien, but it had a $9 to $11 million budget. We'll say $10 million was the budget. This movie went on to gross $203 million at the box office on a $10 million budget back then.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge. Huge.
Yeah.
So obviously, 3 direct sequels. Then two Alien vs. Predators, and now Ridley Scott over the last few years has been working back into this universe with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. This series, this universe has been kicking since 1979, and Disney just announced it ain't going anywhere because they're fixing to do more Alien films, which is awesome. And I think it's pretty cool that we're doing this right now. You do know the 40th anniversary is creeping up pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
We're a month away. I mean, 40 years of Alien. So what?
As a matter of fact, they're releasing a 4K restoration.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I may have to purchase that.
Yeah. Mark's got the 4K TV. Ruben, do you have a 4K TV?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wait, I do too now. Yeah. I got a 4K now. That's right. Oh, yeah. Duh. I need to get that as well. Don't know where I'm at. Excuse me on that one. Another thing they're doing, so yeah, Ruben, you're right. They're releasing the 4K remaster of the original Alien. But they have Fox announced, and they've released 2 so far. There are 6 fan-made short films that Fox has picked up and been releasing online. 2 of them have come out. One's called Containment, and the other one's called, I think it was called like Infection or Infected or something like that. And there's 4 more to go. I've seen the first 2. Holy cow. These are amazing short films, like 6 to 8 minutes.
And you've not passed that on to me?
I didn't mind. That's my bad. My failure as a son. I apologize. Because, dude, they are so good. Like, the Containment one deals with a lady. They're on LV 429 or something, one of the other planets. And she's like a botanist, and she's doing tests on all these different plant lives and things. And she's got a guard dog for her night shift. Because, I mean, who doesn't need a guard dog when you're all by yourself with like 6 people on a planet? But it's a big Doberman Pinscher. And there's these 2 barrels that they had brought in. And in one of the barrels is an egg. And while she's doing around cleaning, she's got her headphones on, can't hear anything. It comes out the egg, the facehugger does. And then it's just them, this dog, and the facehugger in this tiny space. And dude, the dog and the facehugger go to town on each other. It's great. It's so good. So definitely recommend checking those out. For those listening, they're already on YouTube. IGN's put them out, things like that. And then of course we've got 4 more coming, building up to the 40th anniversary of Alien. Gotcha. So. But pretty sweet stuff. So let's kick into it. Let's go through, and I'm going to give a quick rundown, synopsis of the film. So you've got a crew of space miners on the USS Nostromo. They pick up a distress signal on a planet called LV-426. Now, of course, we've talked about the cast. They're just phenomenal. So this crew goes to this distress signal, which happens to be an alien ship. And Sigourney Weaver's character finds out it's not exactly a distress signal, it's more of a warning to keep away. While on this ship, they find this big, what we call the space jockey, and they notice that the space jockey's got a big hole bursted out of his chest. And as they're exploring the ship, they find a lower level with thousands of these egg-like pods. And then in checking out these pods, Kane, one of the characters, played by John Hurt, the pod opens, and out comes the infamous facehugger and attaches itself to Kane. They get Kane back onto the ship, and the facehugger crawls off. Everything seems fine. Not so fine. Kane dies. Alien arrives, because we'll discuss that scene in detail soon, and wreaks havoc on the ship and starts picking everybody off one at a time, one by one. Up to the climatic finish, where it's just Sigourney Weaver, who is the main heroine of the series anyways. Her character, Ellen Ripley, who is the heart and soul, really, of the Alien franchise, ends up jettisoning this thing off to space. And it gets lost for 50 years, and we'll pick that up on the next show. So, great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. There is some heavy language in this film, so forewarning on that. But other than that, wow, what an unbelievable film. Let's jump right into it, because I know there's going to be a lot of talk of what we liked and didn't like. Well, probably not a lot of didn't likes, but a lot of likes, I'm guessing. Who went first last time?
I do not remember.
Do not remember. Well, you know what? We've got a special guest, Jada, here. We'll let Jada go first. Jada, what did you like about this movie?
Well, I like just the fact that... How do I explain this?
With words.
Well, duh, that's how you explain everything. But I mean, like, I don't know how to put it. I guess just the movie altogether is a really great film. And as you go through it, you think that it would would be probably a bad movie once you start watching it at first, but you go deeper into the movie and then it gets more and more interesting. Then you get to the end. It's the most amazing thing ever.
So what else do you like about it? Like special effects, tones, specific scenes?
Well, in the movie, they really didn't use as many effects that you think they would. Because, I mean, most effects in that time when they made the movies aren't that good. So I guess that's why they put all the like special effects, CGI, and all that out of the movie.
Well, there was no CGI back then.
Yeah,
Too early.
no.
You mean
I
as far as
forgot
like
that.
like hiding the monster, not showing the monster? Yeah. So
Smart-
now they did
smart.
that too, just to build the intensity as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that for sure. What about the alien, the xenomorph? You liked the way he looked?
Yeah, I love the costume, love the little puppets for it, love the face huggers. I think it's in great detail, like really great detail, especially because of like when the alien pops out of what's his name,
Kane.
Kane's chest. Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's
one of the best scenes of the movie.
Absolute best scene. Let's touch on that real quick because that scene is infamous. Everybody knows that scene with the chest burster scene because that scared the pants off of everybody in the theater. I mean, even me as a child, I'm like, whoa. So, did you guys know that when they shot that scene, the only people that knew what was going to happen was John Hurt, Ridley Scott, and the camera guy?
No, did not know that.
Man, the rest of the cast must be scared out
Oh,
of
yeah.
their pants.
Actually, yeah. So that
I
was
remember.
genuine. I had read it somewhere. I mean, when he pops out and the blood splatters on, I forget her name. That was genuine surprise and
Cartwright.
terror.
Yeah, Cartwright's
Cartwright,
character.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I read that they didn't tell her, so when they didn't think that much blood was going to shoot out and it hit her in the face. She generally freaked out.
Yeah.
It wasn't acting.
Every bit of that was planned. So Sigourney, Tom Skerritt, Cartwright, none of them knew. So when things went crazy, what you see is genuine reaction,
Like
and
pure
then,
terror.
oh yeah, and then what the scene where Ruben's right, where the blood bursted out, they didn't tell him about that, and then that's when they cut the scene after them because then you got him and the chest burster finally comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all that build up was a complete surprise to the cast, other than John Hurt himself.
Now, I don't know. Ruben, did you, am I the only one here that actually went to the movie theater when it came out to see it?
No, I actually saw it at the movie. Now, I was back then. It was funny. It was rated R, so I wasn't supposed to be let in, but nobody cared back then.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
I was 13 years old, and the movie theater didn't care, and it didn't. It did. It also helped that my cousin worked there, so he kind of just let us in.
Oh yeah, that works.
So I saw it. I actually saw it at the theater.
That's one of those
back-
spots in the movie where the crowd in the movie just goes crazy. And I mean, you hear people gasping, girls in there kind of screaming when all that goes down.
Yeah.
Because, it just came out. I was freaking out because he was choking. I have this thing with people choking. So he starts choking and then it goes right into his chest pop. And I was really losing it when this thing was going on.
That's the scene there is like pretty extreme, especially like where it was rated R back when it was in theaters.
Yeah. I mean, back then, rated R is PG-13.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically, now it would be PG-13 and they'd have no problem letting me in at a 13. But back then, R was now it was this is what PG-13 is now.
Right.
Yeah.
An example like Dawn of the Dead was rated X back then.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was
Definitely.
rated X. It wasn't rated. And it wasn't because it was a X-rated dirty movie. It was because of the gore and on all the blood and So that was a big deal to get into Dawn of the Dead. I never did get to see that at the theater till years later when it was reintroduced, but because you couldn't get into that, it was rated X, and no way they were going to let a kid in. But considering it was rated R, I was kind of But as kids, we just went in there and watched it. It was no big deal because there was already talk. I amongst our friends about this movie, and you know, and how it was awesome, and it had, you know, so we had to go watch it.
Phenomenal.
You know, so.
Well, Jada, was there anything else you liked before we move on to Mark or Ruben?
Yeah.
In particular, Mark. We'll go to Mark. We'll just go around the circle.
Okay. Great movie. Great movie. I mean, it was just, it had you on your edge of the seat from start to finish. The plot's good. The actor and actresses in the movie are great. And I think that was really the first time with the special effects. I mean, the alien costume, everything. I mean, he looks so realistic, and I think phenomenal movie, changed my way about sci-fi horror movies, and thumbs up all the way.
Ruben, what about you?
Man, this movie is one of the best. I mean, first of all, I touched on it off the show last week. This movie right here to me is groundbreaking because it took the two genres of sci-fi and horror, and it's the first one I ever actually could think of that actually did the two together. And I even did a little research after, and I thought, okay, well, let's see, what was the first sci-fi horror? And this movie came up time after time after time, to the point where I just gave up. I said, you know what, I'm just going to call it. This was the first sci-fi horror movie that actually combined two. You know, you had sci-fis that were, you know, you had sci-fi movies and you had horror movies. This was just awesome. It was, it was a horror film finally set in space where I couldn't think, and I couldn't find one that actually did that. If there's one, I probably hadn't seen it, or I just hadn't come to mind. So it was groundbreaking. It had as me, for, like I said, 13 years old back then, it had everything. It had space. You know, Star Wars back then was still huge. I mean, it was just the rage. You know, a big deal was the horror movies, because there was a bunch of horror movies coming out. Slasher films are starting to come out. You started to see some of that. You know, Halloween had already come out by then, and so you had that. So this just, you know, it had something for geeks like me who were into Godzilla and were into Space 1999 and Star Wars and Star Trek and all that cool stuff. You know, Buck Rogers. It had it all, and it was a horror movie on top of that. So, to me, this was like, you know, one of the best things that ever come along. I liked it because it was groundbreaking. It did, and it had some, you know, it was kind of like my first exposure to real gore. I hadn't seen Dawn of the Dead at that time yet. I hadn't seen, other than Halloween, which wasn't really that bad compared to Alien. These scenes in Alien, you know, you had some bad stuff in Halloween, but as far as gore goes, but this one was, you know, the chest scene where, you know, and the face hugger and then, you know, the cocoon scene. I mean, all that stuff was groundbreaking. So to me, and I just, as a 13-year-old kid, that movie was like, it was just something we just talked about in school for days and days and days, and we went on about it. So I guess you guys figured out that I really like this movie.
he's a fan of it, big time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you there. I have nothing but absolute praise for this film. I'm going to boldly state that yes, this movie was groundbreaking. This movie set the bar, and the bar still has never been hit for the epitome of a sci-fi horror and monster film when it comes to something like this. I mean, especially because the alien in this film was on screen less than Godzilla was in Godzilla King of the Monsters, or the original Godzilla film.
Yeah.
I mean, he's barely on screen, you know, and the moments that he's on screen are fantastic. They knew exactly how to keep him hidden until it really ultimately mattered, because you never really do get a full good look at the creature until they're at you get about a half body shot of it when it goes after Cartwright's character and
Dallas, I think.
No, Dallas was the captain. He was in the. You get a pretty good look at him.
That was off screen.
Yeah.
And
So
I thought Lambert's was off screen too.
Or Lambert's death was on screen, but that scene with Lambert's death, that whole scene there is the first time you actually get to see it standing up.
That's true.
In full frame,
Right.
and it was absolutely epic. Absolutely epic. And of course, you get to see it more when it's on the ship with Ripley there at the end. So the design was perfect. And even as good as that design was, they could have put it on screen more. But Ridley knew to keep that intensity and keep that suspense, to keep it off camera, to keep it at the corner of your eye type deal. And it truly made it more terrifying than it was, which was phenomenal. And no movie has done that since. The only movie I can even think of that comes remotely close is Jaws, which is a totally different type of film. But you think about, how many times, even that first scene, you never see the shark. Most of the time you don't see the shark. Now, granted, that was because the shark was terrible and sucked and didn't work half the time when they were filming the movie. But the concept's there. Now, Ruben, I'm going to blow your mind a little bit, because this was not the first attempt at blending sci-fi horror together. There's a movie that a lot of people and film historians cite Dan O'Bannon getting his screenplay for this from, and that's from a 1958 film.
With Dark Star. Oh, 1950.
Yeah, way before then.
That was more of a comedy.
I love Dark Star. The Dark Star is great. Yeah. But there's a movie that came out in 1958 called It, The Terror from Beyond Space.
I
remember that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if you go back and watch that movie, there are a lot of differences, but the storyline and everything at its core, it's the exact same film. Okay?
Wow.
Crew gets a distress signal, goes off this planet, alien gets on board, alien used the air ducts in the ship to go back and forth. They have to, starts picking off one at a time, and they end up having to blow up the ship to kill the alien. They try to, they end up shoving it out the airlock. It's identical. Now, this was 1958, so didn't do quite as good as Ridley Scott and them did, but that's still a great movie. I actually own that film. It's a really, really good movie. So that was the first attempt. You've got some other ones that were just sci-fi cheese, but yeah, that blend of sci-fi horror, they tried it in 58, didn't work. Ridley Scott and Dan O'Bannon got it right in 1979. One of the other things I want to talk about.
You would.
What's that?
Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna mention. I just pulled it up when you were telling me about it, and I have a set of cards. It was called. What were they called? They were called, and I've had them since forever. In the back it had jokes. It was called "Died Laughing." I'm trying to remember the name of the card. It was monster cards. That's what I called them when I was a kid. I bought them at Walgreens, 25 cents. They had Frankenstein and the Mummy, and one of the cards actually had the alien on it.
Oh,
it
sweet!
Just didn't. Yeah, because it was just a picture. It wouldn't tell you what movie it was. It'd be a picture of the alien and then some dumb joke or some
the alien
corny
from
line on the bottom. Yeah, some corny line on the bottom.
The alien from
the name of the cards. They were called Creature. Feature
okay, gotcha. Oh yeah. I think I was talking about. I've seen a few of those.
Yeah, Creature Feature cards.
So
and I had a set. Yeah, I have a set actually. And it has. He's actually one of the cards.
Well, that alien in that one definitely didn't look good as H.R. Geiger's alien, that's for sure.
Oh no!
But so the special effects are phenomenal. The direction was phenomenal. The tone of the movie, it is dark 90% of this movie, other than the occasional rooms where they get the white light, like the kitchen or the cafeteria scene with the chest burster. The effects were groundbreaking. Direction was groundbreaking. Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack to this film, musical score, was flawless because there was so little. It was one of those times, where like the less is more.
Yes.
Oh man, it was just absolutely unbelievable. And then this was really Sigourney Weaver's breakout role for her. She'd done a couple other films, but this was it. And she nailed it as Ripley. Everybody nailed it in this movie, but this was the movie that made me fall in love with Sigourney Weaver. So that's it. She's the best actress ever. Okay, I already said that. Let's go on. But let's slide that in there. But one of the things that stuck out to me is how memorable this movie is multiple times. I was talking to Jada earlier. She wanted to re-review some of this movie before we started because she watched it last week with Eiley, chasing her off. But the first scene, or the first death scene after the chest burster comes out, grows into the full-time alien and goes after Harry Dean Stanton's character. Can't think of his name either. Not Parker. Parker's. Why can't I think of his name?
It's Brett.
Brett. Yeah. So he's out there going after Jones, the cat. That whole scene right there, and you even see the alien, and you know that you're done for, like before he gets there. But I remember watching that scene stuck with me because there's other death scenes. Dallas's death scene was super intense and quick. Not the actual death scene because he actually didn't die there if you watch the director's cut. But all of them are so intense. But that first one with Brett just has stuck with me since I was a kid, and even when I rewatched it last night, I just got so pumped. I was just like, "Oh, here it comes, man!" Watching that alien drop down from those hangars things, and then he's
you see the tail first.
Yeah, I was like, dude,
here we go.
It's going down now, and then you just see close up of that face and that mouth, and that first time that you see his inner jaw come out, I was just like, oh, and then when Brett starts screaming, and then it just abruptly stops. That sent cold chills down my spine as a kid. And that was it. The immediate stop of his screaming just terrified me more than anything else that went on. And so that stuck with me. But everything in this movie, the chestburster scene, the face hugger scene, Dallas's death, Lambert and Parker's, even Ash when he loses his mind. Everything is absolutely... It's Spinal Tap, man. It goes to 11. Like there's no 10 on this movie whatsoever, in my opinion. So an absolutely phenomenal film. You guys can go ahead and we'll go with Jada and talk about what we didn't like. But you ain't gonna get nothing from me.
Yeah,
you go ahead and say
pass me by on those.
What about you, Jada?
Okay,
so what did you not like?
I know they didn't have the best of budgets on this movie during the time of the making of it, but still, I think that they could have made the costume for the alien, the full body alien, a little bit more shaped to where it doesn't look like a man actually in a costume. Because you can tell when he's floating in space after he gets shot out of the spaceship that it's a man in a costume. But in most horror films, you want it to look like it's not an actual man, like it's a monster. It's something other than a man. You mean more akin to when you look at Pumpkinhead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You want it less humanoid, more alien.
Yeah. More alien, less humanoid thing.
Yeah.
That was I can tell you what the problem with that was there was no Tom Woodruff Jr. back then.
No,
not
at all.
For those who don't know who Tom Woodruff Jr. is, the next film, Stan Winston took over the effects, and at the time, Tom Woodruff Jr. and Alec Gillis, who of course are the biggest practical effects masterminds in the world currently, have been for decades since Stan passed away. Tom Woodruff Jr. is also a suit actor. He did Pumpkinhead. He was pretty much all the main aliens in Alien, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien vs. Predator. He was the man in the suit, and he had a way about him to be able to fit in these suits and contort himself or move in certain ways and do things that most people couldn't. So I agree with you, yeah. That was probably, if there's anything that lacked was just the overabundance of showing it in full because they just didn't have the capabilities at the time, yeah. I can see that.
That was just.
I still disagree with it because it's the best film ever. But
Well, you have to disagree. You like everything about the movie.
Oh
basically.
man, I love it. I'm very forgiving too, though. Because I'm the, you know me. I love Critters. I love even the really crappy 1985 German wannabe film Creature. That was a remake. Have you guys ever seen that?
No.
It's so bad. Ruben, have you ever seen it?
No, I have not.
It is a complete rip off of this film. It is this film with a $2 budget. Okay, it's terrible.
I think you got it on VHS, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I think I've seen it.
Oh man, I love it. It's so good, those really bad movies I enjoy, so I don't have much room to speak, but so I'm very forgiving on things.
Yeah, that's just my main dislike in this movie. Basically just the only one, just because still I think they really could have done better without it making it look so much like a person than an alien.
Right, and the stature, the way it stood.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What about you?
Could have done just a little bit better.
start to finish, man, nothing. And even at the time when they're, she's talking about when he gets blows out. I am so busy screaming and hollering, rooting Sigourney on that I don't even really pay that much attention, and just happy about it. So nothing.
What about you, Ruben? Anything on the negative side?
The only thing I would have liked to see a little bit more, although one of the things I like best about the movie is the suspense. That alien's there, and that's part. But at the same time, I would have loved to see more of the alien, more than the less than 5 minutes that's total that is on screen.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked to see a little bit more. I'd be happy with 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. Although, like I said, it's hard to say that at the same time because the dread you feel for these characters, because they're, like Brett walking into that room, and that's it. Like you were saying, that. Matter of fact, that's my favorite scene. Of the whole movie is when he walks in there, and that whole, I don't know.
I'm with you, dude. That's my favorite too.
The feeling, the whole feeling of it. You get that feeling of dread, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's going down. And and the cat even, the cat's kind of just like watching, like, dude, you just got it.
Dude, I hate cats. I'm just gonna state I hate cats. But that scene later in the movie when she's got Jones in that little case and she comes around that corner and the alien's right there with Jones, I'm like, oh man, please don't kill the cat. Please do not kill the cat. He's made it this far.
Yeah, and so I say that, but I generally don't think it's that much of a negative, only because I've told you before and probably in other shows, so everybody's heard this. I mean, when it comes to horror, man, I'm picky. Man, you can't just splatter blood on a screen and call it scary for me. I have to be scared. You have to scare me. If you don't scare me, I don't care. That movie's no good. I have to feel. A lot of people don't like the Blair Witch Project, the original one. I like it because there's a sense of dread in that whole movie, just like this one. There's dread, and I want to be scared. I want to watch a movie late at night and then go to bed and still be thinking about it. And this movie does that. You're like, man, put yourself in their place, and and all of a sudden you're feeling this dread. So, although I've just probably talked about a negative and just talked 1 minute about a negative and turned it into
You're right.
positive.
I mean, it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's tough with this one because even though I would like to have seen the alien more, it's not really a turnoff for me. Because it was done in a way that made the movie even better. So there's a false negative.
The one thing that just when you're talking about that made me think about too, it's just how great this movie is in a lot of scenes. Lambert's death was probably one of the most intense because you're talking about that dread, is because when you don't see her die because it is off screen and Ripley's running through the corridors, but you hear over the intercom system her like those screams and oh man, that is so intense.
You just want to say, quit crying and run.
Away from man.
But she's frozen with fear.
Oh yeah, and you can see it all over her face.
Oh dude, that actress, she did not win an award. Cartwright, she was phenomenal in this. And there's so many good things. I mean, you know what? One of the best things about this movie wasn't even the movie. It was the trailer to the movie. Y'all remember that trailer? I mean, I know it came out way before I was born, but man, I'm a trailer junkie.
I haven't seen the trailer. What's weird is I haven't seen the trailer, but I've seen the movie.
Oh, you just got the egg. You remember? It's just black, and there's no noise. And then all of a sudden you start hearing some of the sound effects and the screams. And as it gets to the egg, the light lights up at the top, and then it says alien, and in space, no one can hear you scream. Oh, dude, I remember. I watch that now. I'm like, oh my gosh, which of course, we put the trailers at the beginning of the show, so you'll hear the audio from it. But man, I mean, that trailer was one of the best trailers I've ever seen because that's it. They never did a trailer showcasing the alien ever. It was that quick. 30 seconds of just silent terror.
Yeah.
And going back on what Ruben was talking about, 5 minutes of the alien throughout the movie. I mean, if you look at it, what a business genius that sets up the second movie.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I've got to go see more of this.
Yeah, you got to.
You leave there wanting more.
Oh, dude,
and so
handing it off to James Cameron, which we'll get into this in the next time we hit this, was perfect. You know what I mean? Turning it from sci-fi horror to sci-fi action. Yeah. Oh, he gave you the alien a 10 times over. You know?
Yeah.
Which was great. But yes, I mean, this movie is absolutely. If you haven't seen Alien, man, you're missing out. It is a staple of many genres. Definitely a blockbuster film that has stood the test of time. I mean, you're looking at, 9 sequels, spin-offs, films almost, and it's still going.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, many video games has come from this. Actually, I just recently rebought and finally played through Alien Isolation, which is about Amanda Ripley, which takes place between this movie and the next movie, and Amanda's out searching for her mom, searching for Ellen, and they find the black box for the recorder for the Nostromo, and she goes to the space station it's on, and there's an alien on there. Dude, that is, Jada's seen me play some of that game. Yeah. That puts you in the movie. Like, that is the most intense, terrifying game I have ever played. I hid in the locker, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I didn't want to come out, man. I was terrified.
Just stayed there in front of the locker, and you could not go anywhere.
Oh man, dude. I mean, and that it did. It made you feel like you were in the movie. That game did. I mean, because that thing, of course, the AI that they use for that alien is one of the most advanced in gaming in years, and it is designed to come kill you. Period. That's what it wants to do. It's what it's going to do, and it's adaptive and it learns. And man, it's terrifying. And when it gets a hold of you, you're done.
And I think, just like this movie, I mean, it makes you claustrophobic. I mean, you're such tight spaces. And then when you get in the game, it's pretty similar to that. So it's
because you're running around those air ducts with those little closing lids, and you hear those open up. You're like, oh man, something's right behind me. Something's going to kill me. I'm done. It's here.
Just when you know you're done. You can't go on anymore. You're dead.
Exactly.
No.
So I mean, So they're a little too. Those of you guys listening, if you haven't played Alien Isolation, get you an Xbox One, get you a 360, get you a PS4. Play that game. Will not disappoint. It'll put you right in these characters' seats. So, any other final thoughts anybody's got on this film?
No.
No. No. All right. Well, let's give it a stomp rating. We came up with a total stomp rating of
4.5
out of 5.
Out of 5
because of Jada. Thanks, Jada. Almost a full 5.
Not my fault.
And it came all the way. It came all the way down to the last scene. It looked too much like a man.
Right?
It was.
It's not my fault. It's their fault.
Yes,
it's their fault.
It's
so
their
technically,
fault.
it's not my fault for rating it just a bit lower.
They're screaming at Jada now. We only had 10 million. What else could we do? But I mean, and that's a good thing too. For the only negative that you had, that it's literally the last 2 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie's so good. This movie is so good.
Strongly, and if you have that, it kind of gives you a little bit less of the horror factor in the end of it. Like, is he gonna live?
It definitely got more
die?
Sci-fi action at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was became less horror more towards the end.
Yeah, but so good. Knocking that thing out of space, man. Great movie. Yes. All right, so that's Alien, and you guys have got to check it out. Obviously, next month will be the next Godzilla film, which we'll discuss here in just a second. But we'll follow up with the next in-between film with Aliens by James Cameron, who brought us great films like Terminator 2. He also brought us terrible films like Titanic and Avatar.
Great movies.
But maybe
Avatar is a good movie, guys.
Yes, I'm with Ava.
No. Yes. Not me. Ruben, what about you? James Cameron films. How are you on Avatar?
I'm on the fence on Avatar.
Yeah, I can accept that.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie, but I'm not. Just put it this way: I don't own it.
Same
here. If I owned it, then it'd be a good movie. That's my gauge. That's why I tell everybody: hey, if I like it, I'm going to go buy it. If not, then if it's on TV or I feel like watching it, and it's somewhere available, I might sit there and watch it with somebody.
I don't even do that.
Yeah.
This is not even gonna lie. Those films, when you look at Titanic and Avatar for Cameron, that's when he became the Nickelback of movies, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
That's that. I mean, that the Terminator film, Terminator 2 is still the greatest action film of all time, in my opinion.
Well, when you gauge them up against Terminator, what film has a chance?
Exactly.
Terminator 1
Exactly.
So
like, what are you
when you
thinking, James?
Put it that way, then they're both terrible. Titanic
and you go back and look at Aliens. I mean, Avatar and Titanic especially. I hate Titanic, but even Avatar to me doesn't hold the candle to Aliens. I mean, not at all, not even close.
Yeah.
Special effects. I'll give Avatar the special effects absolutely amazing, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing it's got going for it. It had 6 endings like the Lord of the Rings films. But hey, Cameron redeemed himself because that new movie, Alita: Battle Angel, blew my socks off. That movie was so good. So, but okay, so we got Aliens.
I never got to see that.
Dude.
I wanted to, but I got nobody interested and wanted to see that, and I guess it didn't do great in the box office. But
man,
I'll catch it.
You got to see it, dude.
Great.
It's phenomenal.
Really?
Movie.
All right.
So good. It's definitely the best anime adaptation that's ever been done, without question.
Oh, see.
Because there's been some bad ones like Ghost in the Shell. I didn't even make it 30 minutes into that film, and I love Scarlett Johansson.
I just watched Ghost in the Shell the other night. I love it.
You like the live action?
Oh
one?
yeah.
Compared to the anime, when you watch them like that, I can't do it.
I
Can't do it.
Yeah, there's a difference.
It is hard to, when you watch the original anime of anything, and then they try to do a live action, because I like Attack on Titan. Then they did a couple of, but
that's true.
I didn't like the live action version. I did not like it as much as I did the actual anime.
The anime was definitely better, but I think for those. But again, it's that creative team. You gotta get the right people in there. You know what I mean? With Attack on Titan films, that's the dudes that did Evangelion. You know what I mean? So those are anime gurus, anyways.
Right.
Which is why I think they were as good as they were. I agree, not as good as the anime, but they were still pretty good. They weren't Ghost in the Shell.
Well,
bad.
yeah, they were. That's
a rough movie.
I felt kind of let down, and then with Death Note, it's an awesome anime, and I like the Netflix. It's all right, but it's not the anime.
Yeah, nothing pretty.
See, sometimes I struggle with
not even close.
How you like Creature. You don't like Ghost in the Shell. That kind of blows my mind.
It's the heart in it, man. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like when you watch a movie like Creature, or even something like Critters, or
Critters is awesome.
It is awesome. You're right. It's the heart behind it, man. Like the people had heart. They did their best, and you could tell in those type of films. Even though the graphics are terrible, the acting's not that great. You feel the heart in the film. That hey, I've got $250,000 to make this movie, and they did their absolute best with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the difference between saying, "Hey, I've got $20 million, and I'm just going to crap all over it."
Okay, I'll buy that.
See what I'm saying?
I'll buy that.
And there was and that's what it was with Ghost in the Shell for me. There was no heart, especially when you look at Johansson, which was my biggest disappointment in that, because you look at things. I mean, even like that movie Under the Skin. How do you do that? How do you do Black Widow? How do you do the roles that she's done? And then give me Ghost in the Shell. There was no heart there for me. Much like Total Recall with
Schwarzenegger, or
the new one with Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
There was no heart in that. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I don't like Schwarzenegger. We've discussed this before, except for the Terminator films and Predator. Least amount of lines as possible. But in Total Recall, there was a lot of heart in that film, especially Michael Ironside. I mean, you could have carried that film with him and nobody else, in my opinion. You know what I mean? He's the only reason why Highlander 2: The Quickening was remotely decent.
He could get on live TV, pick his nose, and you would think it's great because it's Michael Irons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I know that.
You were absolutely right on that one, dude, because nobody plays a better villain than Michael Ironside. I mean, it's so good that when they did Heavy Metal 2000, we're getting way off on a rant on this. Sorry, listeners, but we're just going. When they did Heavy Metal 2000, man, they were like, we need the ultimate villain for this. And they're like, Michael Ironside. There's nobody better. Even though we don't see him, you're going to hear him, Yeah, anyway, so next month, sorry about that. So next month on our Godzilla film, we have moved from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster to Ruben's favorite, Invasion of the Astro Monster, also known as Monster Zero, also known as Godzilla versus Monster Zero, depending on how you watch it. All the same film. This one's going to be great. I'm excited. I know, Ruben, you're excited, right?
Yeah, I'm pumped for that one.
Man, I'm telling you.
It's my favorite.
It's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most. Well, it's such a good movie. I mean, it really is. But because I won't give too much before we get into it next month, is the final fight. To me, the fight between Rodan, Ghidorah, and Mothra, or not Mothra, Rodan, Godzilla, and Ghidorah, way better.
Yeah.
Than the one in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. So, and we'll talk about that next month.
Yeah.
So, because I'll jump into it, man.
We will get into it.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you all so much. Again, another great show. I want to definitely thank Jada for doing this one. Now, I think you were wanting to come back and do the rest of the Aliens. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, have you seen them all?
Yes.
If not, she's getting ready.
No, she's getting to.
I'll before we actually do the podcast, I'll do like a little bit of a refresher so I can like rewatch the movies and then talk about it.
Oh, got you. Because I know, like, you've watched the original trilogy.
Yeah, we've watched the trilogy one. I think the director's cut's 10 times better than a trilogy, though.
Exactly. Oh, especially when it comes to Alien 3.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Whew, man, so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And how old was she when she watched these director's cuts?
Well, she's... I learned from my father. Because I wasn't sure if you'd seen Resurrection. That's one's got Winona Ryder.
I've seen that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
And Ron Perlman, who's what saves that film.
Yeah.
But we'll get there anyways. But all right. Well, thank you guys so much. And again, another great show. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. Check us out next month on the Monster Movie Stompdown for Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, Invasion the Astro Monster, or just Monster Zero. Another Ghidorah film, so we're all stoked about that. And make sure and tune up, not this upcoming weekend, but next weekend, the following. We will have the next episode of Sludgecast, and that will be all about Avengers Endgame, which is, it's going to be so good. It's here. Our tickets are already ordered. Me and Mark's are.
Yeah.
Actually got the tickets and didn't even think about it. I got the latest showing to make sure we had good seats and got there in time. 3-hour runtime. Totally forgot about that. Yeah. We're going to 10:35.
It's going to be a late night.
Yeah. And they've announced no intermission. No intermission.
Oh, they decide not to do it.
Yep. And Kevin Feige has already came out and said, and there is no intermission. He literally said this. He said, and there is not a scene that you will want to or can miss.
Oh,
so,
boy.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. So. All right. Well, thank you. What's that?
Make sure don't get a big extra large soda then.
Oh, dude, I'm like, I'll hold it. I mean, I'll pee in the cup. Don't be looking, I'll pee in the cup. Don't hold it past me, man. It's going to be good. So I'm pretty stoked for it. But all right. Well, thank you guys again for another great episode.
Good night from Mark.
Before we sign off, let me say one thing.
Go for it.
Because we didn't touch on it. There is a twist when it comes to Ash.
Oh, we didn't really talk about it, did we?
Yeah, there is a twist, all right? So
yeah. When it comes to Ash,
you guys want to keep it. Yeah, if you guys want to keep it under your hat. So you guys want to. There is a twist when it comes to Ash in this movie that was Sludge just barely touched on it, but he really didn't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see it.
Yeah, and it comes out of left field, big time.
It's also like one of the biggest parts of the movie.
I know. I totally agree with that.
So much to Prometheus, however you say it. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making sure.
Yeah, it does. So I'm not going to tell them. I won't leave. If you're a listener and you haven't watched it, you got to go watch this now to find out what happens to Ash. Because it's one of those too. I mean, even me. I mean, I see things coming with a lot of films. Well, I mean, look at we talk about, it gets brought up a lot. Sixth Sense. I've never watched that whole film. I've never seen past that opening sequence when Bruce Willis gets shot by the guy in the underwear. That's as far as I've ever gotten in the film. I went to theaters to see it, got to that scene, walked out, and Jada's mom, I think it was your mom that came with me. Maybe it was your mom. I'm pretty sure it was your mom. I just left. I was like, nope, I'm done. He's dead. He's the ghost in the whole film. So I usually catch things going. When it comes to Ash, didn't see it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was epic.
You can kind of see it at first. Whenever Kane gets the alien popped out of his chest, before it runs away, he's like, "Don't touch it, don't kill it." You can kind of see it there. I mean,
as far as
yes, you see.
Yeah, I see. I never caught on to that.
I caught on to
Smart
it
kid,
first thing when I watched the movie.
Well, you know what? Good for you.
Next generation.
Next generation. 'Cause I didn't catch that, but now I do see what you're saying.
Yeah.
About what the was it the directive 397 or 970?
937.
937. Okay,
Yeah.
I do see that now.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, Jada. Smart. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So go watch this movie. Find out what happens to Ash because it's crazy. Trust me. So, all right.
And good night again.
From Mark,
Good night.
Good night again.
Jada, and
Good night from Ruben in Corpus Christi, Texas.
awesome. And this is Sludge. Again, thank you guys so much. Join us again later this month for the next episode, and we'll see you next month for the next Monster Movie Stompdown. Good night.
The flesh wound.